My father, well, when I grew up in Frostburg, Maryland, and my father had a painting company for a lot of years, whereby they would do custom painting with painting houses, no spray units, stuff like they do today. It's straight custom brushwork. And my brother and I, who still lives in Frostburg, we learned the trade over years of helping paint. And people today still know that we paint and can paint. And a lot of times over the summer or at Christmas when I'm on break, we get phone calls to paint houses. I call this story Painting in Blood. And about 5 years ago, my brother called me and said, "Hey, do you want to make $5,000 over Christmas break?" And I said, "Yeah, what do we got to do?" And he said, "We got to go to this house up in Garrett County, Maryland, and paint this house, the inside of this house for my friend Bob." And I said, "Well, what's the deal?" And he said, "It's a brand new house. It's big. It's 5,000 square feet. And the good news is that there's no flooring in it and no trim work. All we have to do is do ceilings and walls." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'll take that." Okay. So I went up to Frostburg, and the Christmas Day, 25th, 2005 or so, I spent the night with him. And then the next day, the 26th, we were supposed to go up to Garrett County, where this house is. Okay. So anyway, did that. The night before it had snowed. It was cold. We had about a foot of snow in Frostburg. New snow, Christmas Day. The roads crew weren't out. Roads in Frostburg were pretty bad. 5 a.m., Bob shows up with a four-wheel drive Ford, one of the old ones you have to turn the hubs in on, and he picks us up. We have no drop cloths because we don't need them. The flooring's going to be put in later after the painting. And I've got a small box of tools and brushes and what have you, and one little drop cloth to put on the counter. And we basically have overalls on, tennis shoes, sweatshirts. Okay. My cell phone won't work up there, so I don't have it. I assume my brother had his. So anyway, we go out, we get in, and he drives out of Frostburg with two-wheel drive. If you've ever been up that way, we're going towards Grantsville, Deep Creek Lake. It's 5 a.m. He picks us up. We get in. We drive up. It's near Grantsville off of Lower New Germany Road. And when we get up there towards 68, which is the highway, there was like 2 or 3 cars that had been through. We struggled to get up there. When we got up outside of Frostburg, about 10 miles, we made a left on Lower New Germany Road, and he had to get out, and we turned into hubs because we needed a four-wheel drive. We went on Lower New Germany Road for about 2 miles, took a right on this road called Bear Hill Road. And when we got there, luckily, he had a plow on the front of this Ford. He had to plow his way in, or we wouldn't have got there. So we plow our way in, and when we got to his house, it was a steep incline for about 20 yards. We had to literally jump out and wade into the house. Now, the good news is the snow was like a real powdery, the kind you can't make a snowball out of. And so we waded in. And when we got up there, walked into the mud room, and I immediately knew when I went like that, I could see my breath, because I said, "Man, Bob, you got to turn the heat on," because we're using latex paint. And Bob said, "Problem is no heat, no electric." And I'm like, "Oh man, Now we were supposed to do this job over a week's time. We get in, and I'm worried about the temperature. But I put my drop cloth over the kitchen counter. Everything's brand new. It's a brand new house. And I put my box there. And Bob pulls out the blueprints, because the good news is we didn't have to worry about trim work or flooring, but every room got different colors. It was amazing colors. And we were looking at the blueprint, deciding where the colors were, and so we could get set up. I'm getting stuff ready, and my brother goes in the next room, which would have been the living room, I guess, sitting room, and there's just a stack of gallons and gallons of primer. Okay? There's no paint, it's just primer. And it's tinted primer. That's where it was Sears paint. Sears punches a little hole in the lid. These were the regular aluminum gallons. And they put pigment in it, and then they there's a little rubber or plastic cap they stick in there, and they shake it up, and then it's colored. And so technically you're supposed to put 1 coat of primer and 1 coat of finish. There was no finish coat. finish paint. And I told Bob, I said, man, you need to get some paint in here because, you know, I don't want to be sitting up here on Wednesday, middle of the week, and stuck with no paint. So Bob and I sat there for a few minutes and we wrote down amounts of paint and colors and whatever. And meanwhile, my brother was in the next room looking at the blueprints, taking the primer up to the different rooms. This paint goes in that room, this paint goes in that hallway, this paint goes in that bathroom. So Bob gets ready, and he says, okay, fellas, I'll see you later. Cumberland's a 2-hour and back drive with getting paint. Oakland's maybe the same. So he was, you know, he's going to be gone for a while. So he leaves, and I'm there getting my brushes ready and putting the roller covers on and the sticks and all. And the next thing I know is my brother says to me, you know, Chuck, I cut myself. And my brother's an accident waiting to happen. Didn't surprise me a bit. And I said, oh, yeah, really? And then next thing he said was, no, I really cut myself. I'm like, you know, holy crap balls. I could tell in his voice he was hurt. I walked in the room, and when I looked, he was standing like that, and there was a puddle of blood on the floor like that. And I looked. I mean, I don't want to get too graphic. When he went like that, he was cut from here to there, and stuff was hanging out. Okay? I grabbed it. Anybody knows about a puncture wound or something like that, you got to put pressure on it. And I grabbed it and held it. And I said, Jeff, you got to hold your hand. And he said, okay. And he let go of it. You know, I said, come on, man, grabbed it. You got to put pressure on this cut. You know, so it's okay. He lets go of it. I look at him. He's getting white already. The shock is setting in. So I look around. Of course, I don't have a phone. There's no phone on the wall because landline's dead. No electric. My brother had a phone, but it wouldn't pick up a signal, and I'm like, we got problems. We were the last house on that lane, the only house inhabited on that entire lane, which was about a mile in. I looked around, I couldn't find anything, didn't have a first aid kit, and luckily, some dude I read one time duct taped a wing onto a plane and flew it, and I thought, this will work. And I found a roll of duct tape in my box, and I wrapped it, okay. Get our clothes on. We start walking out, wading out. I think the cold weather actually helped the blood loss. We waded out. I mean, by the time we got out to the end of the road, I was basically shoving him down the road. We couldn't have gone much further. He looked bad. Doesn't take a lot of blood in the snow to look like a lot. Luckily for us and for him. Rural route mail carrier went by. I waved. The dude waved and kept going. And I thought, you know, this is bad. Luckily, he came back and he said, "What's going on?" I saw blood. I said, you know, 7 o'clock in the morning. I was worried. I told him a little bit about the story. His little Jeep was full of mail. He couldn't take us. He radioed to Grantsville, and they brought a county road truck over, plowed in, and picked up my brother and took him. He had to be airlifted to Morgantown. You know, the conclusion of that story is he had 3 surgeries on his hand. Got a couple numb fingers, but he lived. His wife's crazy. I was thinking, man, she's going to kill me if he dies. The other thing is what happened was he had this bad habit of bending. When he empties a gallon of paint or primer, he takes the lid and bends it. And what he had done was he popped his finger through the plastic cap for the pigment, and you know, if you know how cut aluminum is so sharp, it just whacked him like that. He doesn't bend lids anymore.